Hello and welcome to my channel, Ruckosaurus Rex, where we discuss and review all things dinosaur and other prehistoric animals. Today, we conclude our march with the Ankylosaurs. Ankylosaurs were known as the tanks, the tank dinosaurs, and they existed throughout the Cretaceous from end to end. And they're made up of two different categories. Ankylosaurs, which Ankylosaurus is the holotype that's the entire subset is named from. Ankylosaurs are so named, they were the dinosaurs that actually had clubs at the end of their tails, and then the other subset of Ankylosaurs were known as Nodosaurs, and those were armored dinosaurs that did not have clubs at the end of their tails. And as you may have guessed, they were so named after Nodosaurus, which we don't have a representative of here today, but that dinosaur was armored, related to Ankylosaurs, and it had no clubs. So since it was the first to be described, all of the armored dinosaurs that are clubless fall under that heading of Nodosaurs. So we're going to kick this off and then work our way around. First up to bat, we have the Borealopelta. Yes, indeed. Of Alberta, Canada. It existed in the early Cretaceous period. The name Borealopelta means northern shield. Makes sense, up in Canada. It was about 18 feet long. This model is about 7.3 inches long. So doing the calculations to see what it scales at, it's oversized for 135 because it would come in, it would represent a 21-foot long animal, and Borealopelta was about 18 feet long, so this falls more towards the 130 scale. So just a little oversized, but still looks good. So what we'll do is get it off of the stand to see exactly how good. So we've got the Borealopelta off the stand, and when I said how good, the answer is very good. The color scheme isn't something that PNSO just came up with. Borealopelta was actually found, it was found with skin, more than skin impressions. We know what color this animal was due to how it was preserved. It appeared to have drowned, or if it didn't drown, the body was washed away into water, or it fell into water. And because these animals were so top heavy, it was found it died on its back. So it means it must have fallen, or if it was in water, it's the weight of its top side was such that it flipped it over and it landed on its back at the bottom of whatever body of water it fell into. And so we know what color it was, and PNSO has basically replicated that look right here. What you see is more or less the color of Borealopelta. They also found its last meal, and it had bits of charcoal in it, which kind of sort of suggests that it was eating in a place, a forest, if you will, that had recently experienced a wildfire, and was the vegetation was just growing back. So pretty much a lot was discovered about this animal, which is always cool because it's so difficult to be able to determine how these animals live and definitely what they look like. But at least in this instance, that mystery was solved. Anyhow, let's get a closer look at our Borealopelta. Okay, I've got our guy here as close as possible without blurring out, so we can actually see some of the detail going on with the head there. I'll tilt it so we can see it a little bit better. We've got the eye is painted kind of a it's not white, it's almost a grayish kind of brown with a black pupil in there, and you can see the dark tint of the face, if you will. And turning them to the other side may have a better view that way. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And you can see how the front, the snout looks and everything else. He's got the nice spikes. I'm going to turn him up this way, zoom out a little bit so you can see it better, and you see all of that detail. The crazy, the armor is just bananas. Those side spikes, you definitely don't want to run into this guy, that's for sure. And going down, the tail still has those spikes going all the way to the end there. If there's one thing that might be off about this particular model, is the tail might be a little bit too narrow. It should be a little bit thicker, at least from anything that has been shown and demonstrated. But still, it's it may need to be a little bit longer. I don't know about that part, but definitely the thinness of the tail for sure. As far as the underbelly, you can see that the detail just continues on, and same thing, accuracy with the toes, pretty good. So I'm going to set our guy back there so we can get a view of him from one angle. Look at him from another angle. I'm going to look at him head on real quick so you can see that, and then of course the full profile of our Borealopelta. Oh, and how rude of me. PNSO likes naming their models, and I neglected to state our Nodosaur's name. He goes by Gavin. So Gavin the Borealopelta at your service. And now allow me to introduce you to Bart the Ankylosaurus. As you can see, this is isn't the typical style of color scheme that PNSO is known for. This guy actually has some color to him, and pretty impressive. This is a true Ankylosaur, as it has a club at the end of its tail. It was a smaller species. It only got to about 16 feet, and another distinction about this particular species is that we have more specimens of Ankylosaurus than any other Ankylosaur, and they range from juveniles up to adults. So we know quite a bit about them, which is always cool. It's from Asia, specifically Mongolia and China. I stated it was 16 feet long. This model is 7.89 inches long. So when you do your calculations for scale, this is another oversized model, because at 6, and we'll just say 6.9 inches, it rounds out to about 20 feet. So it's definitely oversized. And this is about 1/25th scale. So it's oversized, but it is what it is. It's still coming in smaller than the Borealopelta that came before it, and still looks very good. We're going to take our boy Bart off the stand and see what's what. But before we do that, I'm going to remind you guys, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to get to, well, I knocked it down to 100, my first 100 subscribers by the end of July. And I need all the help I can get to attain that goal. So please do that. And now, without further ado, we're going to get Bart off of the rotating platter and up close and personal to see what's the what. So here we've got Bart, our Ankylosaurus, as close as I can get before we start to lose focus. And the one thing I want to make note of is, as far as armored skulls go, the Ankylosaurus definitely didn't leave anything to be desired. I mean, the plating on the skull is just crazy. And I'm holding Bart by the tail here, and the spikes are pretty sharp. So if you have one or plan on getting one, be very careful, because I'm definitely feeling the PNSO doesn't hold out on trying to barb anything that's supposed to be sharp. They go for the true accuracy and leave it up to the responsibility of the owner to make sure that they don't do anything that would injure themselves. Anyway, looking at the color, like I stated earlier, PNSO did not spare any effort on the coloring of this particular model, which is usually not their battlewick, but in this case they did it. You see those lime green along with the reddish brown up there, looking pretty nice. And look at the spikes that are on the belly, on the side belly right there. That's just crazy. And once again, looking at all the spikes, you can see all the side spikes right there, and it leads to the tail. The tail is just spiked all around, and then it ends in like a dual kind of club there. It's flat right there, and then it bevels out into a club, not too large, but I'm sure it's, it's made out of bone. So he swings it, he can definitely do some type of damage. And going to the other side here, you can just see it. It's just crazy. Looking at the that head once again, the detail is just I mean, words can't describe the armor plating and the spikes that are represented here on that head. Look at the legs. Look at the armor, the plating on the legs. It's just crazy. There are more on the forelimbs than there are on the hind, the back limbs. Once again, the feet accuracy. Looking at the bottom, you see the scales there. It's just something to behold there. Really is. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can get our boy Bart more in frame there. You can see him from that angle. We'll get him that angle, and then of course get him in frame, get him so that he's not too blurry. Your profile. And if I didn't mention it, Ankylosaurs were of the late Cretaceous, about 75 to 70, like 71 million years ago. So yeah, that's our buddy Bart. Next up we have Isaac, the Sauropelta. Sauropelta is a nodosaur, as you see him rotating on our base there. He's got on that extremely long tail, which Sauropelta is known for, no club at the end, so that brands him a nodosaur. And North American dinosaur, early Cretaceous, about 108 million years ago. It was they found remains in Wyoming and possibly Utah, and it's another dinosaur that we have a lot of information because of the fossils that have been found. And it was a medium-sized dinosaur between 16 and 20 feet long, and you can see that it was really kind of a smaller dinosaur that's only getting that designation as a medium-sized dinosaur because of its length. You could see that more than half of that length is taken up by its tail, which is very unique to this species of Ankylosaur, of Nodosaur, having that long a tail. It lived in the same time and the same area as Acrocanthosaurus, so I'm sure they had some encounters together. I think I stated about 108 million years ago, early Cretaceous, and yeah. So let's get our boy Isaac off of the rotating base and get a little bit closer to see some of that detail real quick. So here we are taking a look at Isaac, and he's not as drab as PNSO usually has their models painted. He does have a they did move away from the overall the brown. It's more grayish green. This guy is, but of course there are brown. You see that there's some tannish brown on the sides of his face, and if you look, you could see it'll be in the underbelly as well before it gets even lighter. So yeah, it is what it is with the paint apps with PNSO. But you could see the eye is just a black pupil there, and you see the spike patterns for this particular species as well. Not as heavily armored as a Panachosaurus, probably similar to a Borealopelta in the way they have the spikes. I do believe that Sauropelta is, I think they actually gave Sauropelta the spikes. I'm not sure. If I had to guess, my recollection may be faulty with this, that Sauropeltas did not have these long side spikes. Either that, I'm either getting it mixed up and it's Borealopelta that doesn't have them. One of those species didn't have it, and then they just added it, I guess, for effect on the other species. I believe it's the Sauropelta, though. My apologies for not researching that before coming here on camera and mentioning it. That makes me unprepared. That's pretty unprofessional, but hey, only human. We're building it while we're flying it, and yeah, it is what it is. I know it's one of them. Anyhow, you see the spikes are smaller along the body there. You look at the top there, it's got those scoops and the armoring, and here we are with that long tail. We're just going to go so you can see how it tapers. It's got the spikes on the other side, and it tapers down to a tip. Once again, this is a Nodosaur, so it does not have a club. See that it's got the tannish like undertones on the back side of the legs, and of course you've got that reddish brown, reddish tan on the underside of the body. At the belly, you've got those scales there, and with the other side, looking at that head, you can see the nice skull there, and yeah, that's our guy Isaac. Back him up some and zoom out a little bit so you can get a couple shots of him. You got him one angle, you got the other angle right there. Pretty good. We're going to look at him head on. Yes indeed. And then of course profile, and that's our buddy Isaac, the Sauropelta. And now bringing up the rear, we have Sadie, the Ankylosaurus. And strangely enough, Ankylosaurs, as I stated at the beginning, the entire genus is based off of Ankylosaurus because it was the first described, and so all Ankylosaurs and Nodosaurs fall under Ankylosauridae. And the thing that's funny about that is Ankylosaurus itself was the last of the Ankylosaurs, and one of the last dinosaurs. Period. It was about it existed about 68 to 66 million years ago, right up to the very end of the Cretaceous, and the great extinction event that led to dinosaurs disappearing. And so yeah, it's pretty funny that the first dinosaur, the first Ankylosaur found, was also the last Ankylosaur ever. So that's pretty, like I said, that's some interesting trivia right there. North American dinosaur, it actually lived, it lived alongside Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Hadrosaur Edmontosaurus, which I would love for a PNSO to make a model of. And it was also the largest Ankylosaur at about between, depending on the species, about 20 to 26 feet long. This model is 9 inches long, and that actually scales it perfectly at 1/35 scale. It would represent a 26-foot long animal. Sadie, as you can tell by the name, this is the first and only female of the Ankylosaurs that PNSO has put out. So so she's going to represent the whole clade pretty well, I think. We're going to get her off of the base and take a closer look at her. Here we are. We've got Sadie up close and personal, and the good thing about the Ankylosaur being a bit larger model is I can get it a little closer to the camera without blurring out, so we could see a little bit more of the detail. You can see she's got that the pure black eye, and you see the how the mouth is shaped right there, and look at the different colors you've got for that for the head over there. Brown, 2 different shades of brown, dark, and like in the middle it gets lighter. It's almost like a tannish color. Stepping the Ankylosaur back some, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can talk about this real quick. If you notice the spikes configuration on the Ankylosaur, and you may take note that it looks kind of different everywhere. One thing about Ankylosaurs, they're always changing where the spike placement is, how large the spikes are, etc. Because the specimens we have of Ankylosaurus are it's kind of I don't want to say fragmentary, but it's pretty difficult to discern and placement and things of that nature, because the way how they would be found, scattered or whatever. So this is kind of like the latest findings. If you look at different models, you'll see some spikes are coming out the top there, bigger on the sides, what have you. But right here at PNSO, this is their interpretation of Ankylosaurs. So you see they don't have the spikes as pronounced, and they have like way larger scoots on the top there, and the spikes are more reserved, if you will, not as pronounced on the sides there. They do go along the sides of the tail, and you see how the tail ends in that big old war club, we'll call it. You see the nice color scheme in there. And speaking of colors, pretty decent coloring job by PNSO for this particular model, so that's pretty good. Looking at the underbelly, I haven't mentioned anything about like stretching skin and the detail there, so I'll do that with Sadie here. You can see that's pretty cool. Looking at the underbelly, you see how it gets real tan, beige almost. You've got the scales there on the underbelly. You've got look at the detail on the legs, and yeah, pretty nice. Looking down there, even the underside of the club has got some nice detail. So pretty cool. Looking at the other side real quick, you see that Sadie's got that left forelimb raised up some. Just she's lifting off to start walking. Ankylosaurs were thought to be slow moving, kind of tank-like, obviously in appearance, but move pretty slow. And of course, another attribute that, or characteristic I should say, as with all Ankylosaurs, they were all like low to the ground. So as long as it was, it probably only came up to maybe the chest of a average sized human male, and everything was basically in the length. So anyhow, we're going to take a look at Sadie from that angle. Look at her from the other angle. Looking at her straight on there. And of course, we've got to get that profile shot. And that's Sadie the Ankylosaurus. And so, in conclusion, we had our March of the Ankylosaurs, and this was really just to get to show, to demonstrate the models that PNSO has already released, just so in the event that they do come out with any more, whether they are Ankylosaurs or creatures that lived in their same ecosystems, I'm ready to be able to play the comparison game, and you'll already know what I have if you've seen this review, of course. But yeah, we're talking about the Ankylosaurs, and of course the two different subspecies. Excuse me. Got Ankylosaurs and Nodosaurs. Nodosaurs, of course, did not have clubs, had more pronounced side spikes and placement. They were appeared for the most part to really have pronounced side spikes. You have Panacosaurus, which seemed to have the best of both worlds, of all three worlds, highly armored, had the side spikes and a club at the end of the tail. And I guess it needed to have all of that, considering it was one of the smallest Ankylosaurs, also the oldest Ankylosaur known, if I didn't mention that before. And yeah, and of course culminating in Ankylosaurus itself, the last and largest, yet at the same time the first first discovered, and has its own bit of controversies, as we don't really know what the armored body portion looked like with the spikes, sizes of the spikes, whatever. Right now, this is the current iteration of an Ankylosaurus, so that's what we're going with here. And what we're going to do now is go from our left to our right to sum up the models that we've reviewed today. So on our left, we have the Panacosaurus. At the top, in the center, we have the Ankylosaurus. Below, we have the Borealopelta, and of course, on our right, we have the Sauropelta. And yeah, all very nice models. Very nice to have them in the collection. Keep in mind, once again, that PNSO doesn't skimp on the trying to barb the spikes. They are sharp. So if you plan on acquiring any of these models, be wary of that. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 reviews by the end of July, and I need you guys' help to help me achieve that goal. Please leave comments below, questions, comments, concerns. I want to hear it all, and I'll be looking forward to reading anything you guys may have. I don't know what I have next up on the docket. I do have the next PNSO model, the Lingualong, which is an early Jurassic, classified as a neosauropod, and That's one thing we're sorely lacking, are sauropods. So I definitely look forward to that, but that's not going to be here for a while, since it's got to come from China to get over here. So look forward to doing that review, and look forward to rapping with you guys again. So until the next time, thank you and take care.